Hi everyone, I am here with Matt Suter. He is our astrologer and our oracle reader and our minister here for Firefly Hollow. He does a lot of other things, but today we're going to talk about oracle readings. Oracle readings are what you offer as well as astrology, but some people don't know what an oracle reading is and what happens when they come to see you for an oracle reading. So tell us about that.
Basically, what you can expect when you get an oracle reading is we'll sit down, I'll ask you what we're going to talk about. That's sort of my line that I start everything with, whether it's a counseling session or a reading, and we will pick a direction. The nice thing about using cards is that it gives you something visually to focus on so that you can have that anchor in the third dimensional world when we're talking about these concepts, these things that might not necessarily be concrete patterns in your life and that sort of thing. So all of the cards in the deck apply to you. It's simply the way that they get laid out and the symbolism in each of them. And each card has a lot of symbolism. It's very rich in that. And so each of the cards, certain things will pop out from those cards, and then I will interpret those symbols, tie them together into a cohesive message as the information is coming to me, and then I basically deliver that to you as we go along through our journey. So
are you the oracle or are the cards the oracle?
Very good question. In this sense, I would be the oracle because I'm the one interpreting the symbols. That's the traditional meaning of the word oracle, or the term. The title, I suppose, would be the person who interprets the symbols, and I'm utilizing the cards. Oracles use bones, they use crystal ball, they can use anything really, any sort of a pendulum, any sort of divination to give you that sort of message. They connect to the divine or to source or to information, however you want to frame it.
So how does it work for you? Like when you're doing a reading, how do you get your information? What happens inside of you when you're doing a reading for someone?
So over the years, I have gotten a system down so that when I ask you, what are we going to talk about today? That is my code word to myself to sort of switch into a different state of consciousness. I clear my mind, and I have a gift. My gift is called Claircognizance. So basically information just gets dropped into my head as if I knew it already. Something that I experienced or learned. And so what happens is that when I take that moment to be silent, to clear my mind, then the information comes in and I know that's the message that I need to deliver. Sometimes the thoughts come through, but it's nice because most of the time I can maintain that state through the whole thing. But every once in a while we'll stop for a second and I'll say, let me get some more clarity on this or whatever. Because inevitably, being human myself, I every once in a while will find a resonating situation or point in life with the people that I'm reading for. And so I do my best to try and make sure I separate my things from your things, because there's no need for them to necessarily be intertwined. And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're getting a reading, especially if it seems to be hitting somebody, the reader, hard, then it might be something else going on there. But that's definitely part of the whole process for me. And then we'll wrap it up. We'll do a brief overview of all the cards and try to tie it into a cohesive message.
So step by step, when I sit down to talk with you, you say, what are we going to talk about? And what if I don't know what I want to talk about?
That happens sometimes.
What if I say, I don't know, it's not my job, it's not my relationship, I don't know, some people feel like they're supposed to come see you, right? They just feel called.
Yeah.
So what do you do? What do you tell them then?
Right. In those situations, I say, okay, great, we're going to do a general. Because the fun thing is that whether you have a topic in mind or not, you're most likely going to get almost the same message. Because when we're at a certain point in our lives, unless we're looking for something very specific, it's going to be the overall message is going to talk about the thing that you're going through in life. And again, that sort of ties into astrology. But that's the idea, is that we all go through these cycles in life, and Oracle can really give us more things to grasp onto, whereas astrology can really be a little more broad. Sometimes it can get broken down. If you really go in deep, of course, you can get specifics. But that's sort of the difference between the two. If you don't have something in mind when you sit down, though, that's perfectly fine. We can talk about just an overarching pattern in life. We could just do a check-in and say, where am I right now in life? Where are the things that I need to put my energy and resources towards? And what's going to be the best next step?
Do you feel that some of your clients sit down and after a session with you, they feel like the information you gave them was like they already knew it, but they didn't know it. That they were almost like you're telling them what their internal voice is trying to tell them.
Yeah, I always say the best readings are the ones that don't give you any new information. They are someone outside of yourself saying what you've been hearing inside of yourself. It's sort of a confirmation for what you feel in your gut, and that's our intuition. That's the thing that really is in charge of all of this stuff anyway. And so when we can really keep in touch with that, that's when we can find ourselves in places that we want to be rather than places we're trying to get out of, in life. And so, that's all part of it.
So, for a question for someone who's intuitive, do you feel that do you need to use the cards to do a reading for your clients, or is it something that you choose to do as an adjunct?
So for me, I use cards because, again, I feel that they're a really good anchor for people because I spent the majority of my life, giving people messages. And a lot of times I would see that they weren't really hitting home, and I'd find myself trying to break it down or
explain it in a different way or something.
Yeah, I would constantly have to try and find an analogy that fit for the person so that they could understand what I was saying. And once I started utilizing cards, I tried tarot at first, but that didn't really line up with the intuitive information that I was getting. So when I finally found oracle cards, it really made a big difference because then I had this tool finally, and I went through several decks before I landed on the one that I use to give this information. There's some that I wish would align with my intuitive information, but that's not how it works. But luckily the one that I do use is really beautiful, and it has a lot of rich symbolism in each of the cards.
So what would you tell someone who's looking to maybe purchase an oracle deck to use at home for themselves? Do you feel like anyone can use them, or is it something that they should see a reader for, and when should they see a reader versus use it for themselves?
Sure. A lot of people find it very difficult to give yourself a reading because when you are asking the question, you're the querent, as it's called, as well as the reader. A lot of times you'll find a lot of predetermination where you're going to walk in, see this card, and you're going to say, yep, this is what it means, this is the person that it represents, or this is what I'm supposed to do, I knew it all along, that sort of thing. You can go in expecting and looking at things in that way, whereas when you get a fresh set of eyes on the situation, it can really help because it can help show you perspectives that perhaps you've been missing, aspects of the situation that weren't really in the forefront of your mind or in your focus. And this reader can help to shine light on that. Oracle is also really good for daily inspiration. So if you do find yourself drawn to a deck, whether it's tarot or oracle, and you want to just pull a card every day and just sit with that card, study it, and see what speaks to you about that image, it's a wonderful way to get in touch with your intuition, and it's something that I'd say don't grab a card or a deck rather, because you feel like I have to go out and buy an oracle deck. If something really speaks to you, if something really grabs your attention, take the time to maybe look into it. You can go on to whoever the publisher of the deck is. You can usually go on there and see 3 or 4 cards, and that way you can see if you like the style of art and the themes as far as how they're broken up, and if it really speaks to you, then by all means grab it and start to work with it, start to utilize it. It's just like any tool. When you first get it, you want to use it on everything, but it doesn't apply to everything. And so at a certain point you realize how to integrate that oracle deck into your life, or tarot deck, or whatever it is.
And if you're playing around with your deck, I remember when I first got mine, I thought it was the coolest thing, and I wanted to read for all my friends. And of course, then if I'm don't like Justine's new boyfriend, and she's asking about it, it's totally gonna be biased of what I'm saying or thinking the cards are saying.
Right.
But one of the things that I feel like people are usually scared of when it comes to oracle or tarot is they're scared of the future, or of it telling them that something bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to touch on that, because I think that's really common. That's actually the number one thing that people ask us when they call Firefly Hollow. Is they're going to tell us that I'm going to die, or these bad things. First of all, we don't do fortune telling at Firefly Hollow. We don't do that. That is something you go to the beach to get done, it's for entertainment or doing it something, what's going to happen in my future. We decided to incorporate it into our holistic services because we know that it helps people on a deep psychological level, especially when they're going through any sort of changes in their lives or just need in general some inspiration. And some of our clients have just having that synchronicity or the sitting down and meeting with a reader and having that experience is extraordinary for people where, it can sometimes bring faith in a higher power back into their lives, whatever they believe, because there is something that seems to happen in that room with you or in our open houses with the readers that just lines up, So what would you tell people who maybe have those reservations?
Well, it's the most important thing to remember is that when you get a reading, it is a snapshot of a time and place. So at that point, it says, if you continue along this path, this is the most likely outcome. Now, you've got free will as the wild card of the universe. So basically, anything that you choose to alter, or the things that get altered in your world around you, will change that path, even in just a very minute way. So the chances of, say, seeing, oh, guess what, you're going to die tomorrow, you're going to die in a car crash, so you stay home all day, and then you don't die in a car crash, unless, a car slams through your window, which, of course, is a different situation. But that's the idea, is that by giving you that information, you can therefore change the future. But a good reader will tell you, this is something that you need to work on. This is something that you need to change. And I've given readings to plenty of people who have since passed away. And even when that information comes down the line, it is not, this is your death. It's the idea of something in life has to change, or you're getting ready for a change, whatever it may be. But ultimately, I think that the purpose of a reading is to give you clarity, sometimes inspiration. And so if at any point you feel that I'm scared to get a reading because I think I might be dying, or I might be in a situation where I might die, that kind of thing, or I'm just constantly worried about dying, as many people are. It's the most deep-seated fear in humanity. But for those people, I would recommend that you reframe it, because what you are focusing on, where you're placing your energy, is the thing that you create. So if you focus on abundance and living each day to the fullest, then you're going to see that energy attracted towards you. And when you see a card, even in tarot, something that, like the death card, for instance, it's not necessarily mortal death. And so when you can learn to interpret these things in different ways, that's when you can start to realize that it's about the life journey, each step of that journey, not about seeing when it's going to begin and end, or when there's going to be the new boyfriend. It's not necessarily about that, but certainly that stuff can come up sometimes. But it's about understanding that everything is cycles, and at a certain point, just like the merry-go-round going in circles, at a certain point we get off, and that's okay, because then later on we get right back on the merry-go-round again and have another wonderful ride with the music. So it's not something to be afraid of at all, and it's not going to involve anything dealing with your mortality. I can assure you of that. At least a reading from me won't have anything to do with your mortality.
Yeah, I think they're very generalized, where we're not specifically looking at health issues, we're not looking at legal issues, any of those.
Yeah.
Definitely see those professionals that work in that area. But I know for myself, oracle readings have been very affirmative for when I don't trust myself, or when I am, is this the right decision to make? It gives me some other perspectives. Even if I ask, well, what if I make this decision versus this decision? What would the potential outcome be? Mm-hmm. Even just interpreting for myself through meditation and working with someone, that's helped me a lot. And the times I go for a reading is when I'm too emotionally attached or close to a situation to be able to hear my own internal guidance, or that voice that each of us have inside of us. Mm-hmm. I go, it's because I can't hear it, because fear, right. I'm human too, and fear comes up for each of us. So whenever fear comes up for me, that's when I go and get a reading, and that always really helps. So Oracle readings are amazing. If you haven't tried one or if you're just curious, please check them out. Matt offers oracle readings. You're on the schedule. You can get scheduled through the mobile app or online, or our open houses. That's one. It's a great way to get a reading with you because they're only $22. They're a mini session if you want to try it out at that time. So. Yeah. Thank you, Matt, for joining us and telling us all about oracle readings.
Absolutely. Hope to see you guys soon.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.